Thank you for staying with FCT Brief. Now, we're still discussing renewable energy, and helping us still connecting the dots is the president of the Young Innovators of Nigeria, Andrew Abu.
Yeah, let's talk about what would be the single biggest policy shift that can help grow this sector. The reason is because, as of now, we're heavy in the production of fossil fuels. We make so much money from it. I know the global outlook is to move to renewable energy. How easy is it going to be for government to shift to that place when we know we still have huge deposit of gas? You talk of on-grid production of electricity, and so what do you think can shift in government policy that will grow this sector very well?
I think we need to balance our energy mix because generating power is expensive. So what government needs to focus on is to see how they can work with private sector to incentivize access to credit and investment for this mini solar grids, because the area is doing a lot. I think if you go to Kaduna State, they have demonstrated the first, I think they are the ones, Bemban Power Solar Grid Project. So it's the first off-grid solar grid project that Kaduna State government have practicalized to see that, okay, let's invest in renewable energies and see how we can sell cheaper. And it's working. I think that model should be replicated across Nigeria. And we need to do like a solar-free trade zones. Just if you have agri-free trade zone, you have free trade zones, Lekki-free trade zone. We should do that solar-free trade zone for off-grid renewable energies. So I think it will go a long way because it will reduce the cost, and especially people in the rural areas. When you have, take for instance, you can use a pump, solar pump, to do irrigation during dry season. So as simple as those solutions maybe contribute large to our food security crisis. If you can farm all through the year using these solutions, it's going to go a long way. So government need to look at this other aspect that looks like a bit of things are happening in silos. So if we look at it holistically and invest in that and incentivize people to encourage them to do that, I think that's where the banks also come in, reduce their interest rate, and see how they can mop up capital, long-term capital.
The energy agriculture nexus is critical, and yet farms are still largely excluded from these renewable solutions, like you just mentioned. That is for irrigation, processing, and cold storage. Why hasn't this opportunity been fully tapped into?
I think basically we also go back to the same thing: access to finance. Access to finance is very critical here. For us as young innovators, we dabble into this same thing in Benue. We decided, okay, let's adopt 300 farmers in 300 hectares of land. Let's see how we can be able to do a model for climate smart agriculture powered with these renewable energies to farm all year round. And the estimate for startup estimates is created about 2-3 billion to start. So how do we catalyze, get those kind of funds? We have to be doing fundraising from locally within people within our ecosystem. And it's difficult because people need to trust you to be able to invest in you. So it's a lot, but we need to start from somewhere. It need to happen across the country in different models, because there is no model that is perfect. Now you have to use the model, you continue to tweak that model until you get what works for you. So Nigerian, we need to look at our challenges that we have across the value chain for renewable energies and look for what works for us. That's what we are organizing TED this year for. We're bringing experts together. Let's look at our challenges within this renewable energy sector and see how technology can be used to drive these things cheaper. We've brought banks, we've brought a couple of innovators. We sit down in a room where the government is there, the House Committee on Renewables. We are all there together to look at these challenges that we are facing to see how we can address this.
Okay, let's take a look at this and say, probably, if Mr. President, with the Renewed Hope agenda, said, okay, renewable energy seems to be the future, and we say, okay, in 10 years' time, let's look at the outlook. and government decides and say, look, instead of giving out, for instance, generating sets that use fuel to power irrigation and all that, that's a government policy, for instance, and say, look, it's going to be solar, it's going to be we're going the way of renewable energy in that. Do we have the capacity of innovators to meet that demand that will come in? Or do you think that we can set a timeline now?
I think we have the capacity. Nigerians have demonstrated their resilience, the capacity to innovate out of nothing. Before the solar fuse, you see Nigerians do things as alternative source of power for themselves. So with the injection of little capital support from government, I think 10 years is long. I think there's a 2030 agenda, there's a 2030 framework by REA to increase solarization of renewable in Nigeria. So let's work on that. There's just how many years, 5 years down the line. I think with that 5 years we can do a lot, but government need to zero in on that political will to fund where they need to fund, to stimulate where they need to stimulate, you understand, and ask questions where they need to ask questions, because you need to do a lot of monitoring and evaluation of projects that are ongoing on this, all these mini grids that are ongoing across the country. And REA has doing a wonderful job on that. So we're ready to partner. When government is ready, we're ready to partner with them, because we have already moved, because we can't wait. Because Nigerians, we are catching up with people across the world, so we need to move. So when government are ready to move, we'll catch up together. But there need to be a nexus. We need to also meet somewhere so that we can be able to tell our story differently, because other people have made mistakes in trying to achieve that. So we as innovators in Nigeria and people playing across this field, we are ready to work together to ensure that we cut that years. We can't wait for 10 years, because time wait for nobody.
I like the fact that you also touched on regulatory